folks. Let me get the recorder going. This hangout is on air. We're live. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
All right, cool. It looks like we've got a relatively sauced crowd here tonight. Let me just unclick Tony so he's not on all the time. Okay, cool. So, hey, for people that are unfamiliar with Hangouts, you should check it out. It is an amazing platform for chatting and getting to know people. You can privately invite people, or you can just like, hey, make it public. What the heck? This is a private Hangout invitation only because, let's face it, four weird dudes talking about Utopia is enough content for most people. So yes, as I hinted there, Utopia is being discussed as the last show, episode 6 of an amazing season 1. The tragedy is they only went to season 2, and then some idiot pulled it, probably somebody from the dark side. But
From
hey,
the
what the heck? Yes, from the network. Well, it could be.
Got him.
The CIA probably got it confused because oh man, wasn't this our plan for last Wednesday? Anyways, hang on. Let me hit the record button on our audio. There we go. Beautiful. So let's officially get the show started. So welcome everybody to Crazy TV Talk Utopia series. This is episode 6 of the show, obviously, because there's 6 episodes in the first season. This is going to be an amazing show. There's so much amazing content in this episode. It all wraps up, and then it just blows your mind with the last scene. I'm not going to talk about that, but let's get started, and I'm going to throw it over to JD, my salubrious co-host, to fill in the gaps.
Hey, Bob. Again, I can't thank you enough for coming up with this idea to do Utopia, because it's amazing. And if everybody's on board, and I'll say it here publicly on the air live, we got to do season 2, guys. We got to do season 2.
Okay.
You know, we'll figure it out. I mean, we can take a break or we can go right into it, but because this show is so good and I'm so happy, and I'm happy to have Ken here. Thanks for being here again, Ken.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm loving it.
Good to see you. And Tony is also here. Thanks, Tony, for being here again. And we get to talk about episode 6. Are they going to answer all the questions? Are we going to find out who Mr. Rabbit is? Do we really know what's going on? Or do we think we know? And I love this show. I think we should just get into it. And Bob, you specifically lined out some questions for us, some things that we took notes on while we watched, and fill us in on what people should be looking for, or what we were looking for.
Okay, awesome. I just want to throw in here that we have a special guest. We've got Raquel on sitting, and he's manning our Detroit post. We have a special studio set up there for today, and Raquel's been manning that for us, fighting off the crazy people, the zombies that hang out in that city and area of the United States. He will be throwing us some Q&A questions every now and again. I'll be throwing those in and getting some great responses, so don't jam out on us, dude. No pressure there. So, yeah, we're doing episode 6. We've got best character, best scene, best line, and weird and most confusing scene, not in that particular order, but what the heck. In my condition, I'm amazed I can actually speak without slurring. So we're going in, and we're going to start with best character for episode 6, and I'm just going to throw Ken right under the bus to start.
Okay, good. Because my answer, I thought, was sort of obvious. The best character development. I thought it was obvious that Milner was the one that because all of a sudden she's like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. She's finally revealed as Mr. Rabbit's bloody sister. But there is so much more to everybody else that I mean, you know, where do you start? The development. I mean, it's the end of a series, end of a season. So you know, I mean, they just smacked away at everybody, and if you weren't dead, you needed some development.
Nicely done. I don't believe it, but hey, what the heck? So let's throw it over to Jadine for.
I mean, you know, the reveal of Mr. Rabbit, the reveal of Milner, that thing is gigantic. It's the biggest thing here. And I'm glad Ken led with it. For me though, there's a couple of people. I have an honorable mention. I'll mention it later, and just because I want to spend a few minutes on it, because I feel like there's a character who is so consistent in this thing that we never talk about him. So we'll deal with that in a sec. But really, it's Becky. Becky is. She's the one that kind of brings them all into this story in a lot of ways. She's the one who opened the show for us. She's the one that is suffering from this disease quietly and silently at first, and now it reaches this crescendo in her. And in this one episode, she chooses her own road. She chooses not to turn over the manuscript for her medications that will keep her healthy and alive. She chooses to love Ian, and then after suffering a fit at the station, she chooses to leave. She chooses to not have him witness her suffering. And you know, some people can say that's selfish, but other people can say you're sparing somebody the breakdown of the disease, of what it's going to do to her. She doesn't want somebody to witness that. She says it herself. And she is somebody who is very consistent in caring when it comes to what's going on. She seems to be the moral backbone for a lot of this group and what's going on. And I think she is a powerful juxtaposition of what Mr. Rabbit represents and what Becky really represents, the regular person who still cares and who still can't believe and still doesn't want to accept that these things are happening, and at the same time is willing to suffer and not willing to go along just to profit or just to survive or just to do whatever. She's fantastic in terms of a moral center of a character.
But she's still trying to figure it out, though, which I think is great.
Yeah. Yeah, she doesn't just accept that they have to behave this way, which is the opposite of what Wilson is. Wilson just tends to, you know, accept, and that to me was a problem. Wilson was a problem for me, but
Wilson was different. He actually became one of them when he supported their decision. There's a difference, I think, there. You know, you either fight against it or you condone it and support it by condoning it.
Yeah.
So he crossed the line there. He became evil, I think.
Oh my God, he got Wilson.
I don't know if he felt he had any choice, though.
I think he was just so beaten down that he saw that as the only light, only thing that would justify the brutality that he'd experienced. I mean, the guy still had an eye just torn out of his socket, so that's something that's affect his judgment.
Well, not only that, he's got a cardboard patch. I mean, let's face it, guys. That's the most understated patch around. Brilliant. I mean, that's real.
Wilson, get a patch, buddy.
Get a patch, dude. Get a patch.
Yeah. Take 5 minutes. Maybe upgrade it to like a leaf or you know, an old piece of leather. Something. Come on, guys.
Oh well, hey, that's the wardrobe upgrade in season 2.
Yeah.
Let's throw this one over to Tony then. So, what's your best character?
Well, I remember started to talk about Becky, and you guys have filled in the blanks, but I was mentioning it when I didn't have my notes. So I'm going to have to, because I really like the fact that she didn't just bring a gun to Donaldson and shoot him and take the medicine, you know. Because for me, I probably would have done that. I wouldn't have had the moral fortitude to say, please do the right thing.
And what kind of a dick he is, right? Yeah. But it's interesting because that was her juxtaposition. That was her position. She said, he's like, why are you here then? And he would have expected her to either do his bidding, make the deal, or come with a gun. And she chose to do neither. Like, that's amazing. She said,
and he threw it in the water out of spite. You're
just going to give it to me. Yeah. Like, what that guy.
What a dick.
Yeah.
Now. Let's not be judgmental here. All right. So, okay, we've got Ken. Did you give us a best character? So we got everybody through there, and for me, I'm going to throw in there Becky. Of course, that's what we're talking about. And really, it's been building up. We talked about it last week with the her development, and I held off till this week to say Becky was this is like it's a pinnacle of her character development. Well, you know, for this season, let's say, and
Yeah.
on the last episode, that's a pretty safe thing to say. But yeah, I think she was great because she's dealing with her sickness, and she doesn't care anymore. She's come to a point. So look, I'm going to man up, like I said last week. I'm going to do my thing. You want to throw my stuff in the pond and make it tough for me? I don't care anymore. She's taken the guy's power away. This guy, who is basically the asshole scientist, he can't have that happen. I mean, he's the guy that's freaking out now. He's the guy. You know, you don't see that scene, but him driving.
Oh, yeah.
Another scene of him driving, going, damn, 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 There could have been a whole another sequence of scenes where he is just getting pummeled and taken out by the bad guys. But we'll leave that for episodes in maybe next season. I can't remember if that happened.
I would have liked to have seen Becky after he threw, just walk up to him and, you know, just punch him or something.
Well, I think she's beyond that, though. It's like you're so weak.
That's his game. She just said, I'm not going to play by your rules. And that's the thing that she's done throughout this entire series, is saying, I don't care. Like, even she fought so much with Jessica in this. The vitriol that would happen between them. And they even had a moment in one of the scenes which had a brilliant line in it. But it is unreal. Well, she's just, I'm the one dying because these fucking guys experimented on me. And, you know, we're the ones who were involved in maybe stopping this thing, but I'm not going to compromise my morals. That's wild. That's wild. Because she already had. So that's the thing. She was already feeding information, but when she realized what it was really going to cost, she refused to do it.
Yeah, but she still could have punched him.
Well, you know, it's interesting. She was in episode one. In episode 1, scene 2. She was introduced as the on fire woman, trying to pitch this as a concept, and we had a wonderful time just basically shredding those two assholes on the other side of the table. Go back and check out that show. But for sure, I think her character development has been great. It's been slow. She's been very stereotypical as far as the Becky original concept is. Like the I don't even know what that accent is from, but I'm going to say northern. I'm probably going to get eaten.
Wales.
It's Wales.
It's
It's Welsh.
Her Welsh accent. Oh, that's right. We did talk.
I love the accent too.
It's her Western accent. Her Welsh. It's her West Coast accent. She's got the same accent as us. Her West Coast accent, it basically saying that this is the way I am. You know, don't mess around with me. I'm a woman in power. Blah 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 blah. And she's been like that throughout the whole series. Like, I'm standing up for myself. I'm standing up. I know I don't agree with you, and no, I don't like this. And then she's coming off a little bit bitchy. And now that power and personality is really becoming really rock solid. And you have the background now says, well, no, she's not being bitchy. She's just fighting for her life. And absolutely.
I think she's. I mean, she saw her own future lying in a bed in a red room, and when you see that, I mean, you know, what other power can anybody have over you once you've seen your, you know, glimpsed your fate?
Yep. Yeah. But it's interesting because, and I'm going to bring in the other character that we don't talk about. I don't think we've ever chosen Ian, and Ian is very essential to what's going on here because he represents, again, another person who wants to hang on to the real world, even though they've been thrust into this crazy conspiracy madness. And even Wilson says it in this episode. It's like, we're in the center of the biggest thing on the planet right now.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and Ian has been very consistent with just making sure it's fair, and he becomes this representation, but he almost fades into the background because he's not a killer. He's like one of the only people besides Becky who don't kill anybody. Everybody else, whether it's by circumstance or pushed into a corner or whatever, ends up being some kind of killer.
He sure wants to, but he hasn't done it yet.
Alice are killers before him. So I hate that we kind of miss him, but he's so necessary to get this appreciation for what Becky is. And he says to her, like, I'm going to be here. I'm just going to be here. He's that guy who's just going to be there. And for as much as he's quiet and is kind of moving the actions. Like once Jessica Hyde shows up, she's pretty much playing the game because she's been in the game for so long. But Ian still makes decisions, and he makes some huge ones in this episode. And I think you can't have the strength that Becky has if you don't have who Ian is, which is a guy who never compromised really from the get-go and doesn't accept everything as it lays, like it's the only choice or it's what we have to do.
Yeah, but okay, let's
shows
go back
himself
to
being a bit naive, but when he shows up and trusts Dugdale, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't be 100% in this show. God, if you're shooting 50%, you're doing good. I mean, for God's sake.
Right.
I mean, imagine what your opinion was of him when he was the IT expert in that room looking out into the distance, and then his whole attitude towards his boss and said, wow, this guy's a cocky so-and-so, and then realizing, no, that's just a facade. And it's fascinating, really, what they've done with these characters. You think of how they were introduced in episode 1 and episode 2, the conundrum that they were placed in, their normal life, and where they are in episode 6. What a massive, massive life-shifting experience they've had in a very short time. This isn't months and months and years. This is a very short period of time that they've experienced these fundamental changes in their opinions about the Earth, their opinions about their fellow man, their opinions about themselves, and how they've grown as human beings. And this is what great literature is about. You know, I'm a big book reader, and I love books that take a character and basically fundamentally shift them back and forth, and then they come out at the end as a flawed but much more superior opinionated human. So, hey, there you go. A little bit of prose from Bob.
But I also find it interesting that, I mean, even though he's not killed anybody, he's probably pointed a gun at more people than other than Arby and Jessica. He's pointed a gun at more people than anybody.
But nervously, and never pulled the trigger. Yeah. It's like, oh, I've got a weapon of mass destruction.
I'm gonna scare you. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, what was that famous sign? I think it was episode 2 or it's beginning of episode 3. No, it was episode 2, where Jessica comes in and said, "Don't worry, it's got a safety." She said, "Really?" She takes it. Moron.
Yeah, it's only on TV.
All right, guys. Let's move on. Now, we basically covered best character, inside, outside, and backwards.
Let's throw one honorable mention, if you don't mind.
Oh, okay, sure.
Jessica
Absolutely.
burning the manuscript. To me, that symbolized a pretty significant break from what she had already established in her mind as to who she was and what was important to her. She had to give that up.
Yeah, that was a pretty big break. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that could be in the weirdest, most confusing scene section too.
Yeah.
All right, to be an asshole. All right, so let's move on to best scene. Hey, how about that for a little? So Tony's
best scene?
Tony's just done his best scene.
Okay, I guess I have.
No, just kidding. Just kidding. So JD, what do you have for a best scene?
For best scene, there's so many in this episode. So much stuff happens.
God,
it's really hard to choose.
3.
So I like one because it is really indicative of what Utopia is, where you think you know something and then you don't know it. You just go, oh. And it's the scene where Michael goes and again takes a gun and decides to go. Ian goes, takes a gun and goes meets Michael. And runs into Anya. And at the new apartment that Jennifer and Michael have set up for her to have the baby, and instantaneously she turns into an English spy operative.
Yeah.
And calls into control for instructions about whether he should execute these two guys. Like, you're like, what the fuck happened?
I don't believe
This whole
anybody.
You can just
thing
watch
has been
Dugdale's
balanced.
balloon just evaporated, right?
Just, oh my God. Oh, I thought I impregnated. No, you didn't. I was never pregnant. There was no baby. I'm working for the network. You're like, and all of that just fucking unravels in 1 second when she knocks out Ian, and then Michael ends up becoming a killer in that scene and literally lays her out with a can of soup, smashes her head into the glass and kills her. Like, what the fuck happened? Like, I just went, what? It was awesome. It was just one of those, and Utopia has so many of these scenes where you go, okay, I didn't
No,
get this.
no, I wasn't.
Totally, I didn't see it coming at all.
No.
I didn't think about it, especially with what happened with the whole deal that Jennifer put together with Anya. Oh my God! Like shoe drop, awesome shoe drop. That was my favorite scene.
Well, you know what's interesting too, two things. One is he takes her out with a piece of carpet, which is awesome. Like that is such an old thing.
That's like an old Laurel and Hardy gag.
And it's like, oh my God, that's so brilliantly done. But also that who is it? Ian is Ian. He's in the background, doesn't know what to do. And the guy that's a bureaucrat who is even being less like Ian actually steps up and does something about it. It was fascinating. So yeah, it's brilliant. Brilliant scene. Brilliant scene.
Michael's killing people. Ian can't kill anyone.
Yes. See? Yeah. Another killer. Too many killers around.
I know. All right, Ken, what do you got for us?
Oh, everybody's killed somebody in this show. The best scene for me, it was when Ian and Jessica were arguing, and Alice walks into this very tense situation and says, "There's something you should see." And she's quite literally put this puzzle together and literally connected the dots. And then there's the slow overhead shot that comes over everybody, and it reveals the whole, like, okay, what's this deal about this graphic novel? Oh, that's what's the deal about this graphic novel. That's how it's all connected. I couldn't figure out how they were getting the whole picture out of this thing, and then or why they would even want this. I mean, it's just a bunch of stupid graphics. Well, it was a map to the whole deal. That's I mean, it was the Google Maps of craziness. So okay, that's why this is working. That for me was the big reveal. That for me, that was cool.
It is, and it fulfills the whole desire for the manuscript itself. This is the molecule. This is the recipe for what you're trying to achieve.
Exactly.
That's also more for our benefit as viewers than it is for the actual events in the story, because that really was a misleading thing.
It was,
but that's again the brilliance of this. We just spent all this time watching this show and talking about the show, and we're going to get to that final scene, and in that final scene, they took it all away and just said, fuck you.
But it also validated Arby to keep asking, "Where's Jessica Rabbit?" That's why he was looking for her, because she carried the thing. So that was why he was looking for her.
Yeah, that is an amazing scene. And what I like about it is Alice. Those are the type of things she gets. Like she's in a room, left alone. She kills somebody. Nobody can find the missing manuscript pieces. Here are the manuscript pieces.
And then she
and
wearing her school uniform.
And here's the answer. So she's a great symbolic character about the person that's not affected by the craziness around her and is just plodding along, looking at things cleanly. Because she's totally outside of the spectrum of what's going on. She's an innocent. She's dealing with shock. She's living in a world where she's blocking a lot of the reality. So she has a very clear Zen look at, oh, you need a problem solved? Let me just look at it. Oh, here it is.
Yeah, she just steps into the spotlight every once in a while and blows people's heads off, or finds the solution to the whole world, and then steps back and says, "Okay, go ahead, deal with it, guys, deal with it."
Yeah, and then she disappears.
Yeah. And then
it's amazing. It's amazing.
She's a leprechaun.
Very nice. All right, let's get under control here, ladies and gentlemen.
Why? This is more fun. Oh, sorry.
So we're still slogging through best scene. Tony's had a swing of the bat. Ken's had a wonderful swing of the bat. And Jadine, did you get a swing of the bat, or you just?
I did. Yes.
All right.
Bob,
so
you haven't.
Well, you did get one of mine, which is when Alice figures out the puzzle. So I'm just going to throw in here the warehouse scene where the warehouse scene where they get in and out of the big jam. I thought that was hilarious because you go there and you're saying, all right, it's going to do it. And it's like, oh, my God, they got caught, of course. This is Utopia. Of course that's going to happen. Oh, no, they get out of it. Oh, this is Utopia. I wasn't expecting it. And it goes like on and on. Boom, boom, boom. That whole scene is, once again, an example of This is what a Hollywood blockbuster works like.
Yeah.
You have your characters go in, they get in trouble, they get out of trouble, they solve the problem. Done. So in a probably 5 to 7 minutes out of that whole episode, they do a micro movie. That is that's an action thriller. They did. Chopped it up a little bit. Brilliantly done. You get some great twists. You get character twists. The MI5 lady coming in, Milner, saying, "Oh my God, here she comes. She's gonna kill them all." And saying, "Oh, hang on, she didn't kill them all." What? And then cut to next scene. So once again, a boom, 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 brilliantly done. So I definitely put that one up.
And then when they burn all of the stuff and the fire sequence, like it's beautiful.
Million.
It's such great cinematography and slow motion, and like it's very emotional. It's Ian and Becky who do it, which is really cool. It's none of these other people. It's them, and it's the thing. They represent us again. They represent the regular folks. Everybody else is some fucked up people, but these people get in there and light it all up. It's such an amazing scene, and the twists with Milner where you're like, what's going on? Is she what? And it's like, what do I have to do to prove to you that I'm on your side?
Yeah.
And you know what my favorite part of that scene is, Bob?
What?
Her security guy, she walks in with him, hands him her gun, takes it back and shoots him in the head with it. It's so awesome. Like, oh yeah, I'll take that back now. And I'm like, wow, I would hate to work with her ever. She just like, I'll do whatever I got to do. Here you go. Boom. Yeah. Did I prove it to you guys? All right. Like.
Well, it's interesting because she's done that again and again. There was a scene where she's in the car with Ian and she says the same line. It's like, what am I going to do to prove you that I'm on your side? So that's her. That's basically her catchphrase for the whole sequence. If you
MO and shooting people in the head and you know, like in the church. And
the thing is with her line though, what do I have to do to trust you? The end of that is, I'll do anything.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Literally anything. I'll kill people. I'll blow stuff up. I'll shoot other people. It doesn't matter to me. I'll do anything.
Man, and you know what? And I'm going to do this again because I've been doing this the whole series. This is all foreshadowing, guys. All foreshadowing for season 2. So, with that little nugget, I know.
Tony, did you get a shot there?
Yeah, he started it off. So.
Well, I actually, kind of mentioned Jessica burning the manuscript, but I also was thinking Doug Dale, when he realizes that everything that his tiny existence boiled down to was just his signature on that piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole reason he was the ploy. The whole reason was, this is it. So you got to do this thing now, and it also explains why they could never have killed him. So all the threats were absolutely empty, just to hold him in place until they needed him. Another Utopia thing where you think that the prostitute matters, you think that this matters, you think, we just need your fucking signature, dude.
Yeah.
Just go do the thing.
And then you look at it now. And then you look at the letter, and all of a sudden it's 64 million doses.
Yeah.
Excuse me, what?
Yeah, it's like, what? I mean, and that was. And that was shot as it was a big thing because it's like an over-the-shoulder shot, and then it's out of focus, it goes into focus, and it holds there for like at least 3/4 of a second. I mean, it was an amazing shot, and it's like that's a big number. And I actually had to go back and say, "Well, was that what? Wow, that's a lot. What? That's not what they were talking about." And you were experiencing his shock of the number. It was amazing. I mean, once again, this whole series it takes the watcher. You're watching it, and you're living it. I don't know how they did it.
Can you imagine watching?
I think they explained that number, though.
Huh?
I think they explained that number, though, when they were saying that the UK was going to be their test bed.
Yeah. But, I mean, can you imagine watching this show without a pause button?
Yeah.
Or a rewind?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, with commercials?
Or just rewatching it again and again, because that's, exactly. That's what I go, what the? Whoa.
Oh my God!
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
All right. So, anybody get any extra scenes? Because I got one more. All right. So I got a sequence of scenes, which is basically Grant in the yellow-green room. That was incredible.
Yeah.
It's like it goes back to those minimalist rooms where there's nothing. There's a table. It's this yellow-green room, and a chair. That's it. And there's a button and a computer. That's it. Those are the props. They shoot it like 6 ways. It goes on and on and on. And they keep on cutting back to have these little vignettes. Boom, here you go, and then away, and then here you go, and away.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it evolve.
Time or the sharpened piece of whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's
that this could happen, and then the guy leaves the room, and you're like, oh crap.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was an Alfred Hitchcock amazing piece. And then the culmination of the whole thing was his line, and I'm not going to use the line with my list of lines, is basically when they're breaking in to try and kill Mr. Rabbit, and the guy says, I killed him already.
Yeah.
That's how I get out,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, it's like a child's nightmare. It's like he's at school. If he doesn't answer the question correctly, his mother's going to be killed in front of his eyes.
Yeah.
It is like the worst fucking nightmare. It looks like this old shitty classroom with a fucking desk at the end.
And the guy looks like a prof.
Nightmare. I was having sweaty flashbacks watching him in that room. I'm like, oh God. And then you press a button to see if you got it right. Did I get it right? Yeah. The guy comes in and tells me whether my mom's going to die or I'm going to die or what. And how long is he playing them? That's the amazing thing. Yeah. Because he's successfully answering the questions. So does he know what all those numbers are already, and he's trying to get his courage up to do something the whole time? Or is he actually remembering the numbers? It's such a great scene, and like you said, it's almost out of context with what's going on. He's in his own little world nightmare. It's so beautiful, and it's so wonderfully shot.
On the last one, I mean, it just sort of hits him in the head. How am I gonna get him to come around this side, get him closer? And he's, the second number. The second number. No, they changed this number. Well, which numbers? Yeah. Oh.
And it's vicious. Yeah. It is
and
vicious.
The guy.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Such a great scene. Yeah.
Great round. Okay, so that was me, I think. Anybody else got another scene?
I just like the whole burning down of the warehouse sequence. We talked about that, but it's just glorious. It was a music video triumphant. This is what we're saving the world. That's what we're doing here.
And
they
had
burning down.
They had the gas cans all piled up, and it was all well done. And then they had to use a Molotov cocktail. Just throw a lighter at it or something.
Yeah, you're right. There's so many little wonderful vignette movies in it. Like each episode has its mini movies, and it's so well done.
Yeah, definitely tribute stuff going on.
The one scene we're not mentioning, of course, is the reveal of Mr. Rabbit. So, which is the end scene, and I don't know if we want to talk about this out of context, because that whole thing, there was so much going on.
Yeah, but Grant really outed him when you saw the characters on his stomach after Grant had.
Oh, you guys are talking Leighton.
No, I'm talking about
the last scene.
Leighton, you're talking about Leighton, the guy who got killed with the scars on his body?
Yeah. And he
wasn't Mr. Rabbit.
No, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about her. She's Mr. Rabbit.
Yes.
Milner is Mr. Rabbit.
Yes.
And
he carved those things on his body to be a decoy. He was the decoy.
Yeah.
And I think that's a wonderful play. You think Mr. Rabbit is dead, and then at the last scene, it's just beginning. Yeah. It's just beginning. That's how strong this is. It's so good.
Yeah.
Well, I must say that the last scene is, you watch a series and you get to the last episode in that series and you think, is there going to be another season? And you look at that ending and you go, oh my God. Of course there better be a season. I'm going to have to kill myself. I mean, I've been following Alpha House, which is a funny show about senators. And second season, the last scene, it's beautiful, and it's in the middle of they cut at the middle of the scene, and things get resolved. Basically, they could just, like, second season, boom, straight in. And this is what's wonderful about this, is that they've set it up that it could be the end of the show, or it could be the beginning of another season. And surprisingly enough, you wait until the first episode of the second season. Very, very, very interesting. I'm not going to touch on that very much. So best scenes, I've got the best scenes, the jam, the jet puzzle, and those are my 3 scenes that I'm covered. Anybody else got any more scenes here?
Can we talk about the ending scene, or do we not want to talk about it?
Sure, absolutely. No, if it's a scene, we can talk about it now.
So there's a whole Fight Club kind of thing, or Usual Suspects kind of thing that happens in this. When Jessica goes with the manuscript, we've destroyed all the vials of this poison, we've saved the day, everything's going to be fine. We're going to get on a train, and Milner said everything's going to be cool. Just have her come in. And when she starts to put everything together in her head and really realize that it's been in front of her the whole time, and that photograph of everybody at the desk who were part of the network, and she's there, Milner's there, she's Mr. Rabbit, which is fucking awesome, because she's the one who tells the story in the 3rd episode, and that's when they do that huge crane shot while she's telling the story, and you're not watching her face because it's her the whole time.
And
it's fantastic.
I bet she doesn't even have a son.
You know what? It absolutely could be true. Like, that's the things that are amazing about this, is everything just unravels and unravels. So, and Jessica, who in that scene on the roof where she tries to escape, realizing what's going on, and again, 2 security guards come out, and I'm like, okay, what's she gonna do with these guys? She goes, you guys can go. And she has a gun, no silencer anymore. She just has her gun, and I don't know if you guys noticed that. She's like, this is,
I don't care.
I got this. This is my thing, and then confronts her, and Jessica thinks she's won the day by burning the manuscript. A very emotional, poignant moment. She's killing her father, basically. She's losing everything that he ever had, and everything that started this whole adventure, and she thinks she's won the day by doing this, and not realizing, and it's the reveal of Mr. Rabbit, and then the reveal of Janice. It's her. She's Janice. She's the experiment, and it's in her blood. That is crazy, so cool. And the line, what is the line that she says? It ends the entire thing. It's
that's my best line.
Oh, well then, no, let's.
Okay, well, we'll get to it, but it's like, like, you're right. It's like, what the fuck? This is that scene, and the way it's shot on the roof, the back and forth, the simple understanding. Like, you see the barrel in the background the whole time burning with the manuscript in it.
Yeah, take that, bitch. And then you're like, But, well, that's what's nice about it, because we're all there with her. We're thinking, we've won. This is the end of the season. Of course Jessica wins. And then, boom, it's just like the rug. It's taken out from under us. And it was like, what? I say, So, it's one of the best end of seasons I've ever seen. And it really, I can imagine watching it in England, boom, and cut to commercial. I was like, what? When's the next season happening? Like a year from now?
Yes.
And then Jennifer gets shot in the leg, and she tells her, "No, we don't want you to jump off the roof now."
Yeah.
Like, it's awesome.
All right, so so we just basically beat the scenes to death here. Let's go.
Okay, that's fine. No, this episode is like, it was. I mean, it was a full hour too. I don't know if you guys noticed, because all the other ones are the first episode was a full hour, and the last episode is a full hour. Everything else is about 48 minutes or somewhere around there.
One thing I noticed about this episode is that the lighting was much more natural. Like in the room in that house, generally it's been like some sort of a color that they imbue the background with, but today, this episode, most of it was all just natural lighting, I noticed.
Yeah, they didn't pump it up, that's for sure. So let's go to the weirdest, most confusing scene. Let's start with JD, since he's gone.
I don't have any. I don't.
Oh,
Everything
excellent.
fit together. Everything worked for me. And this whole episode, there's nothing in it. It all unravels as it should, and twists you and turns you, and nothing confused me. It all worked, except for the fact of the ending, where you're like, okay, can I start watching the next one now?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what? You mean nothing means anything? Oh my God! All right,
Yes.
I would for me it was when Anya was revealed as a plant, and they had that whole scene which you've talked about a lot already. So for me that was it was confusing, but it was confusing and interesting and a shocking scene for me, and I had to put it in that category for sure, because man, it blew my mind. It was like, oh, what? And I remember coming up to it the second time around and saying, oh my God, this is this scene. So yeah, for sure it was a scene that was memorable, and when you see it a second time and a third time, it's just as memorable and just as entertaining. So wonderful scene.
It's funny, I totally forgot about that. I totally forgot about that scene. And so I was really surprised again, which was awesome.
Well, that's just there's so much going on. Our little brains can only handle so much. Tony, what do you got?
It's like being on a roller coaster ride and just being prepared for the changes in direction and just go along with it. Yeah, that's
it's still thrilling. Still
like,
thrilling.
Okay, we got something else going on now. Okay.
So
for
Tony,
me, I guess it all fit, but then there was this one point which I know was this shot where Dugdale was walking up to the office door, and the two barrels of a shotgun hanging out from behind his coat. Now, to me, anybody who's walking through a crowded building that has that doesn't seem to be all that inconspicuous. Somebody would spot
Well, I
it.
mean, he was.
But I guess he was set up, though, right?
Yeah,
So
he was standing behind the desk where the guards were, and I saw that same thing, and I thought, oh yeah, well, no, you can't really do that, but I mean, there was a desk between him and the guards, so okay, it's sort of plausible.
Yeah, well, also that's his second time.
You can also assume that they were told just to let him through anyways, right?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. He had the ID.
Second time, right? He's gone. He did the first Entourage where they checked him more seriously, and that was actually interesting because the way that was edited, I thought was really interesting. You know, he comes in, and then they cut to this other security guard, and he just like steps and becomes at ease, and then they cut back to the wide scene. So it was an intimidating scene. Like, okay, this is a very heavily fortified, secure check-in zone, and the next time he comes in, he's all alone, and it's very, you know, that whole scene was a foreshadowing scene. They didn't need to do that, but they did it because they knew this other scene was coming up. So once again, brilliant direction and a masterful editing job for sure. So what do we got for? I think we got Ken up for Weird Scene. Yeah,
well, I mean, now that it's all been fully explained, it's a little easier to. But for me, when Jessica says that you know Milner destroyed the vaccine, and Milner doesn't care. I mean, I now understand that okay, the vaccine wasn't the deal, but I mean, they still destroyed a chance to, you know, to have it all unfold right there, and I'm not sure that I mean they were gambling that this vaccine was going to be, you know, it was going to be viable anyway, but. So the fact that they destroyed it and Milner just didn't seem to care, but I thought that was a little odd that she just didn't give a crap.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is the bigger game, and that's what, you know, the peeling the onion thing. It's like the reason she doesn't give a crap is because she still owns the game. Like even it did cost a lot of money, a lot of work, a lot of this, but it's like, to me that's like global geopolitics where you have another play and another play and another play, and it's just like we spent $200 million on this play, we're gonna spend $3 billion on this play, whatever. It's
$200 million, but it got us this far, so you know, it was worth it.
I mean, it's not all going to succeed. And to her, it's like that look on her face of that, the ramblings of the drawings of a crazy man. Oh, you know, like
whatever.
Like whatever. The whole reason you got into this whole story in the first place, meh.
Well, you know, and think way back to the first episode, first scene that we've talked about and loved so much. The whole premise of the show is about the damn, graphic novel.
Yeah.
Find out at the end it has nothing to do with the show. I mean, like, what? What? That's insane.
Well, I mean, that was the only used as bait to.
Well, it brought everybody together, right?
Yeah.
All right.
and-
So, okay, go
And
ahead.
can we talk about the name in the context of it? The name of the show, Utopia. Like, I know we've mentioned this a bit before. It is really interesting because if this is what it takes to make a utopia, it's pretty gross. It is pretty. It is not a pretty place. I do not want to live in this utopia. It looks
Something
like
about
hell.
that number strikes the memory chord. The 500 million. I think I recall reading sometimes
Yeah,
about
that's the
500 million being an ideal number.
Yeah, well,
that's
there's lots of science fiction out there about utopian societies. I'm sure you've all watched Starship Trooper, and that was a utopian society. You look at it, and you had the war, you had the citizenship, you had to join the army to get citizenship, and if you have citizenship, you get to vote, yada yada. And if you did
you get to have babies, you can't have kids until you're a citizen. Yeah, same thing.
Absolutely, and it's this whole filtering system. That it's a utopian society, and it's been used as a science fiction theme for the last 100 years, and it will continue to be used as a theme because that is what the human race is all about. You've got the religion side of things, but then you've got the utopian, and how can we make our society a best society? How can we evolve as humans? How can we be better custodians of the earth? Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, it's a concept. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all part of the utopian dream.
And if
and
Steph was here, she would jump in. The 500 million, the Georgia Guidestones, if you know anything about the Georgia Guidestones.
Awesome.
And Guidestones, the online series, you should check it out because it is about that same premise, that 500 million is the ideal population for this planet of this size in order for people to live in balance with nature. But check it out. It's a fantastic series, and really, it's a very interactive. You get videos, emails. It's a lot of fun to participate in.
Yeah, apparently you can even get a phone call at some point.
Yeah, you can participate. Yeah, for sure. Also, I think it's a good segue. I'd like to do a big shout out for the Vancouver. What is it? God damn it! What's it called? Thank you. I've been drinking too much wine. Vancouver Web Fest. To two ladies put it together, Suzanne and. Sorry, I just put JT on this.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
I just had a RAM shut down because it's bottle 2 for me. So I'm barely as I'm sinking in front of my mic here. But anyways, Vancouver Web Fest, an amazing thing, and
yeah.
You guys should check it out. So
Suzette Lacqua and Paula Hoffman, and Paula was on our show last year, and they're coming up in May. What is it? May 6, 7? Is that when the festival is?
Which probably maybe a couple of weeks or maybe a month.
Sorry, March 6th to 8th, 2015. So coming up very soon. Fantastic.
Dude,
if you love web series.
All right, and this is for our podcast audience that isn't watching this live. Because we're doing this on January. This is probably post that time. But what I want to say is go to the website and check it out because there are some amazing shows worth watching. And really, they are doing stuff on incredibly low budgets that is Utopia-esque. So. Yeah. If you're hungry for this type of stuff, you might be able to find a nice web series that's done at an incredibly low budget. If you're forgiving for that, there's some amazing concepts. Anyways, back to the show. So we're going to do that with that little segue. We're going to jump into my favorite section, which, of course, is Best Lines. And Best Lines, I'm going to jump in here because this is the best line in the whole goddamn series. So Wilson's chatting. And he says, she's asked, "How's you feel, Wilson? How you feeling?" And Wilson says, "Well, okay, yeah, but just a little stabby." It's like, what? How you feeling? Just a little stabby. It's like,
just a bit stabby.
What? And I'm sure I've stolen that for a couple of people because that is such an awesome line, and it's such a Wilson line. My God, what an amazing character! And for him to basically dive on his sword, very Roman, dive on his sword for his cause, and then use it the next episode and say, I'm fine, just a little stabby. Awesome. A little guilt trip there. So if that, for me, that was my best line. What do we got? Let's go to J. Dean.
I like actually the way this whole episode opens, where Jessica shows up again, and like you said, it's a reflection scene of the first time Jessica Hyde appears, and it's the same people, and it's coming through the front door, and it's a totally different thing, and they're like, "Where the fuck have you been?" type of thing, and Jessica says, "I needed to get the manuscript. I set a trap. You were the bait. I'm sorry." That's it. That's it. Like, just, hey guys, this is how it works. I love her deadpan. I love her just, now can we move on? What are we doing? Like, it's like, I love it. I love that she just doesn't mince words.
All right, so let's throw that to, I'm very curious to what Tony has to say.
Becky's line.
Oh.
There's tremors, loss of muscle control. There's paralysis and eventually suffocation and death. I don't know if I want to go through all of that with someone watching me.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Very poignant. Very poignant.
That like cuts to the quick. It is. It becomes a thing. If anybody has had that kind of experience with illness, it's not just the person going through the illness, it's the people going through the illness with the person, and that's fucking intense. And especially because later she makes a decision, and she has a line later on. What is it? How does she say it? She says she calls him shithead, I think, or something. She said, "All right, shithead." Like, I've come to the conclusion that yes, let's.
But she says it lovingly.
Yeah.
Well, being Britain, you get away with stuff like that.
Term of endearment.
Ken, what do you got for us?
Well, for me, we've actually gone at it ad nauseum, but it's when Jessica's on the roof talking to Milner, and she says, "It's over. I destroyed your work. Janice is gone." Milner sees the fire over her shoulder and says, that's just a bunch of old drawings done by a crazy man. I only wanted that because I knew you'd be the one bringing it to me." And then she shoots her and says, "Oh, sorry."
Is that very productive?
Wouldn't want you to jump now.
Yeah.
And I love her last line up there, which is, "We better get started, you and I. We have so much to do."
Yeah.
Such a joy.
Like, what the, with you crazy motherfucker? What? Like, that sounds like somebody about to torture somebody. That's what that sounds like to me.
Some serious stuff going down on that roof for sure. All right, let's do another round of best line because I'm sure we got another one here. Let's throw it over to Tony. Tony, what do you got?
All right. Wilson was my next one.
There's
a future coming where billions of us are going to be born into poverty, and we're going to murder each other in war for water, food, and oil. That's coming. Maybe in our lifetime. At least the enemy. What if the enemy's right?
Yeah, it's pretty hardcore because that stuff's happening right now, guys.
Yeah.
It's not future.
Yeah.
It's happening right now.
It's not even a future thing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And it's funny because there's more and more of this being discussed. There seems to be a culmination in this general idea about where we're heading to and the decisions we have to make. Please, folks, if you're listening anywhere, do not let your leaders make these decisions on their own because they will choose to do stupid, crazy shit like this.
Yeah.
They will put some kind of crazy thing in a virus, and they'll go, "We had to." No, you didn't fucking have to. You just decided that that's what you wanted to do, and all you guys got the antidotes, and the rest of us ate shit. So that's not the deal.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's face it. This is 2015, and we are living in science fiction history. I mean, we're 2015. That's what everybody's talking about. It's Back to the Future, 2015. Like 1984, 1948 is when he wrote it. I mean, we are living in a science fiction reality, and because people can't keep up with it. There's so much stuff happening. Look at, we walk around with these computers in our hands that are more powerful than a computer 20 years ago that would take an office block to fill. We are in a crazy, crazy space. So, with that,
what's that quote you're putting up there, Tony?
God Damn, Tony.
Okay.
He's gone all left.
Since I've been speaking, like since we're on the topic, there was this quote by Leon Messeltier, who was on the Colbert Report just before it was over, and he made this incredibly important statement. A democratic society, an open society, places an extraordinary responsibility on ordinary men and women because we are governed by what we think. We are governed by our opinions, so the content of our opinions, the quality of our opinions, and the quality of the formation of our opinions basically determines the character of our society, and that means that in a democracy, in an open society, a thoughtless citizen of democracy is a delinquent citizen of democracy. We all have a responsibility to contribute, each and every one of us. And if we don't, we're delinquent.
And I'm just going to jump in here for modern media and modern content guy. That's a Colbert Report quote. So a news show that's a satire of news shows is getting the best quotes and the best interviews out there, and that's what's so messed up. So before we go all crazy here, guys, and lose 50% of our audience, like all our
crazy. We've been there, Bob.
Yeah, I got another line. I got another best line.
All right, jump in there, JD.
Okay, so it's Jessica is in she stole the van with all the technology in it, and Wilson's in there, and he's hacking in, and Jessica says, "Well, can you get in?" Wilson, "Get in. I am in. It's UK security." Practically takes your shoes off and makes you a cup of tea.
I know, that was my line. I loved it.
I love that. I love that.
Such a great line. Yeah. And once again, it just shows our inability to understand how vulnerable we are. There's no such thing as security. You would get these great things happening on Facebook right now. It's like, I denounce Facebook. You cannot do this and that. It has no legal sense at all. No. It's just the populace thinking that they have power and have no power. So yeah, very, very interesting. All right, so anybody got a new line? Anybody? I'll throw it out to Ken.
No, I just had the one.
All right, I got an awesome one coming up, but does anybody? I want to end the show with it because it's outrageous. So Tony, you got one for us, or?
All right, here's one. When Milner shows up, the first thing that pops out of I can't remember whose mouth. We thought you were dead. Apparently, I'm not. You have petrol?
Oh, yeah. It never ends. All right, JD.
There was a really nice one with when Alice makes a decision to go with Michael because they want a child, and what a beautiful little artistic, cherry on it. Alice, whose mother's murdered in front of her, she's going to go with Michael and Jennifer because they want a child, and they got deceived into thinking that he impregnated a Russian prostitute who's an English spy, because that happens all the time.
Sure.
And so the line is Grant, and he's sitting there, and he goes, "You going with that dickhead?" and Alice just turns to him and says, "I'll miss you, twat." Like, it's just beautiful. Yeah. And then she gives him a kiss on the cheek and a big hug. And you're like, oh, they can still fucking be kids. They can still be innocent. They can still, they have a future. They can have a future. And that, in the context of this whole story, you're like, holy shit, thank you. Somebody's going to be happy. Somebody.
Yeah, there is a reality.
Although you got to believe that Michael was under orders to not come home without a kid.
I guess that's true. If it wasn't her, he was going to kidnap one on the way or something.
You come home without a kid, don't bother coming in.
Hey, Jen, a funny story. That whole Russian prostitute. Hey, did you meet Alice? Hey, here's Alice. How you doing?
All right, so I'm gonna wind this segment down with my favorite, and Wilson is rushing out. And he says, and he sees the van. He goes, "Holy bloody sweaty bollocks!" I mean, what? That's classic British exclamation mark. The forward exclamation mark. It's like boom, and being Wilson, it was beautifully done. If you want a great quote from the series, definitely check that out. I'm sure it must be on YouTube. That is such an awesome line. So with that, we go into the score for this particular episode, and I'm going to throw it to Ken. Ken, what did you give us for the score?
Well, this kind of wound up the whole thing, and I mean, I gave the last one a 4.6, I believe. So this really sort of wound up a whole bunch of stuff. So I went 4.7.
You're running out of headroom, dude.
Yeah.
All right, that's awesome.
No, I'm consistent around 4.5, 4.7, somewhere.
Yeah. All right. He's our Canadian judge for sure.
Yes.
All right, JD, what do you got for us as our?
I'm going higher because I'm a mental patient. And I'm gonna hang myself with the cord at the end. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. Like, this is a 4.8. This fulfills and kills all of your ideas of what this story is really about, and then pulls the chute in the last 3 seconds and says the adventure's just beginning.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
That's unreal.
that.
This is 6 episodes of television. Nobody. I need people to understand. They have done so much in 6 episodes that I've never seen a U.S. or Canadian series do in 22 episodes.
Oh yeah. Even close.
It's unreal what they did in here, and what they basically said. Yeah, guys, that's just the beginning. Let's go. Oh my God. Yeah, it's 4.8. It's 4.8. It's so well done, and it really answers all the questions and then asks some even bigger ones. It's fantastic.
All right, Tony, what do you got?
Well, my score is going to show a completely inconsistent system that I have.
Yeah, it depends how much
I thought I'd scale back with 4.2 before, but after this episode, I'm cranking it up. So I'm just going to stop at 4.7 and just say that.
Yeah, there you go.
Nicely done. Well, that's quite the jump. But you know what? It is interesting. It was a spectacular ending. It was a show that, an episode that tied up so many packages that they strung along for so long, and these beautiful little packages and little bows, and that's also about, and then boom, unravels the major theme of the whole show and says, this is why we need a season 2. Beautiful.
That's what I liked about it, is that it answered a lot of stuff, but it maintained the tension, and it kept you like hooked for the next.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, by the way, bullshit. I'm calling bullshit.
Well, you know what? You have it. Has anybody watched season 2 yet?
No.
I just watched the first episode, but that's it.
Yeah. All right. So I'm very curious that there's some really hardcore stuff going to go happening now, and I'm really excited about rewatching it because we've talked about it so much. I've stopped myself from rewatching it. I binge watched both seasons in about 3 days. And so now I am so thoroughly talked out that I cannot remember what happened in season 2. There's like 2 or 3 scenes that stick out, will be my favorite scenes for sure. But yeah, there is some really crazy stuff coming up.
Nice.
And I'm going to give it, I had it pegged down, but after talking with you guys and chatting, and I have had 2 bottles of wine, I'm going to bump mine from 4.3.
Wine helps.
Bump it all the way to 4.6 because really, it deserves that. I was looking back to some of the other shows that I've scored at that level, and Breaking Bad got a 4.6 at one point. I think I've even gone higher. But knowing what's happening in season 2, I have to reserve 4.7 and 4.8 for some other episodes that are coming up. And that is just such an awesome teaser for the people watching the show haven't seen season 2. Definitely check it out. It's a content travesty that they didn't go on for 6 seasons. There are other shows that should have been pulled years and years and years ago that got funding to do so many seasons. But this is not a cheap show to produce. It's not a show. You don't get a show that looks like this and you whip it off in 7 days. These are painstaking. Every single part of the lighting is painstaking. The camera shots are painstaking. The acting is painstaking. The writing is painstaking. This is not an easy thing to pull off. And I would say that when the remake of Sherlock came out, that was an equivalent where people said, "Oh my God, I had no idea Sherlock was this cool." Well, this is the same type of thing where you're taking the medium of serialized stories, because let's not talk TV because it's not. It's taking a story, it's chopping it up into a 7-hour or 6-hour movie, and like how can we keep the suspense, how can we have character development, how we can keep people on the edge of their seats. And in a day where we can consume the whole series in one sitting or two sittings or maybe three sittings, it's a different way of approaching it, and I think this is the way to do it. It is highly, highly sophisticated, highly art-driven, very, very high-quality stuff.
I'm guessing that a really big part of this production, which probably distinguishes it from a lot of others, is that they spend a lot of time in the storyboard stage.
Yes.
All of these scenes are very highly orchestrated. They're very well thought through, and the amount of time that goes into planning out the storyboard, once they work all of that out, they get to work out all of the dialogue and everything else as far as the writing is concerned. Whereas I think perhaps maybe other productions rush past the storyboard stage a little bit faster than these guys do.
Yeah, and I think you're right, because part of the cinematography is part of the story. Everything is connected together and linked together, where usually what happens is you start with some kind of script, and then you're working with actors and directing, and then cinematography is created later. But when you storyboard, because you're dealing with the concept of a graphic novel, it has to be part of the story. It is the key to this story. If they introduce a graphic novel and they don't make it feel like a graphic novel, it's like when you watch something that's Pulp Fiction-like. It needs to be seedy looking. It needs to be, because that's what the story you're telling. This is a modern graphic novel, and they've told an amazing story in visuals. I watched part of episode 4 with the sound completely off because I was on a phone call, right? But it was on in the background, and I kept getting distracted from my phone call, just watching, like, look at that room. Where's that angle? What's going? Like, you're just like, you can watch all of these episodes with it off. They would be like great screensavers or any of these angles. They would be
exception of the gory scenes,
photographs. Like, like even like the last scene where Jessica gets, shot, and she's pulling her leg and the blood trail that's going down there, and
there was a lot of blood there too.
Lots of blood, and that's the thing. It's like they made it a graphic novel frame. It really is a living graphic novel, and you're right. The storyboard process must have been so intense. And again, with Bob, what you're saying about season 2 and season 1, where they have a large map that they must have, because they have so much connective tissue, so much when you repeat scenes and characters and angles, because it's a very small cast when you think about it. I mean, it's a group of like 5 people, and they're in a bunch of rooms, and they make it all brand new and exciting and different and crazy, the greens, the reds, the yellows, the blues, the grays, and then they contrast it with pretty blue skies and clouds and grass, and you're like, what the fuck, man?
And there are relatively few locations throughout too. They're not going from location to location to location. It's just a few locations.
Yeah. But they're shot beautifully.
And they make it seem giant and huge, and the angles they use.
But they also don't shoot the drive from different places. I mean, they were at the warehouse, then they were back at the house, then they were over here. There's no real driving scenes. It just seemed like it was a waste of time.
Yeah. Well, actually, there are a lot of shows that are shot that have no establishing scenes, and one of the first series that did that was Law and Order, where they didn't have time for it. It was just like cut from scene to scene, and that's when they had the black with "We're here now" and "We're here now," and other people use that with "Oh, we're in Chicago," and then do an establishing scene. And guys, you don't get it. It's just people don't get the concept of why it was constructed that way. But for our listening audience, I've got a bonus question. For our panel here is, out of, and they've got to be short answers, out of the whole 6 hours plus of content, which is the one scene that sticks out in your mind the most? And I'll start out so you guys have a little chance to think. And for me, ironically, I think back of all the amazing scenes. When I say the word utopia, the first thing that pops into my mind is the opening scene of episode 1. And that was the comic book scene. I just love that scene. There's lots and lots of other amazing scenes, but for me, that is a scene that is an anchoring point for me, which is weird because it's the first 15 or 8 minutes of the whole 6 hours of content, and still for me that is an anchoring point. So with that, I'm going to throw it to Jay Dean. What do you have as your one scene that sticks out about them all? And that's a toughie. I think everybody here in the panel
It is because the whole reason when I first discovered this show back in 2013, or 2013 I think, or it was that first scene. I saw on YouTube the entire first scene. That's what grabbed me into it. But I think in the context of the whole series, when you see everything, when you get everything, to me it is scenes like Milner at the warehouse, where you're not sure who's going to die, how they're going to die. That tension and spinning that tension on a dime, and for a second you think they're good. That whole sequence right in there, that mini movie that you talked about, that to me was quintessential of you don't know anything, you don't know what's really going on, you think something's going on. That scene to me was super powerful in that moment, where again Milner shows up, seems to save the day, but not save the day, but save the day. That's Utopia.
Tony,
Tony,
what do you got for us?
I think rather than go with the heavy examples like I've been going all along, I'm going to go with a light one, and it boils down to right at the beginning when Becky was in front of those two people explaining the concept of a graphic novel, and they just were completely clueless as to what it was in front of them, and they were speaking their own gibberish language, but Bukowski. And it's like, I think that probably sums up really what happens in a situation like this. People really aren't capable of dealing with all of the complexity, so they retreat back into something that's familiar to them, that's of a personal nature, but has no connection to what's really going on.
Well, it's almost like a reflection of what the producers had when they pitched the show to whoever was across the desk and said, "Oh, we got to make this for CTT. It's just so fucked up."
Yeah.
just to because they buy it, we got to tell them to fuck off.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that was based on hey, okay, I'm pitching you this movie, and he must have got so many vacant looks, like from people, like, what? It's about a graphic, what?
It's like that. It's like that Seinfeld episode when they were talking about pitching their show, and there was a show about nothing, which is really what their show was about.
Yeah,
it had already been on air for a few years before they pitched it.
Oh, God, amazing. Okay, Ken, what do you got for us?
Well, I mean, for me, it was any of the scenes that just threw you up against a wall, and then they threw you up against the other wall, and then kicked the feet out from under you, and then made you stand up, and then threw you against that first wall again, and you're thinking, what the hell, why are you taking the scene in the church where Milner comes in, where the other guy comes in, and then he shoots, and Ian and Becky are talking, isn't this nice, and then the other guy comes in, starts to shoot everybody, and then Milner comes in, shoots the guy in the head, and it's like, what the hell is going on here? Any of the scenes that really threw you around the room, and you didn't know what the hell was going on.
When you're saying that, it's interesting. I was thinking, what is he thinking about? And then suddenly, as soon as you started describing it, and boom, I thought of the room where the Russian prostitute actually is not a Russian prostitute, and then ends up dead. It's like,
exactly, yeah.
What? That's like a 2-minute scene, and once again, it's like they've taken like, oh, here's an action film. Can we reduce it into like a 1-minute scene and let's use that?
And then Michael conks her with a can of soup, and that's the end of her.
It's amazing. All right.
I guess if there was one more memorable one, and it's the one that freaks me out at night, Bob, would be this is sand. This is chilies. This is sand. This is bleach.
Torture
scene. This is spoon. And you just go, oh, okay, what's going to happen? And you don't think you're going to see it. And then the scene just doesn't end.
Yeah,
it keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going. And you're like, I don't want to watch this. Why am I watching this? That, I can still feel it. I can't even talk about it because my mind is going, I wonder what that sand would feel like. Oh my God, what would that bleach be? A spoon? Like, oh my God.
It's a
Oh,
visceral scene. It's a visceral scene,
oh.
and once
Yeah.
again, it's the the cinematography, the art direction, the ability to write scenes like this and storyboard them and choreograph the whole thing to make it so real. But it basically it's 6 hours of vignettes, guys.
Yeah.
Really, it's like each section, each scene is a standalone micro play. And that is why it messes with your head, because you have a beginning and you have an end, and then you have another beginning and another end, and it goes on and on and on. And it pummels your brain. And that is what reality's like. You don't know what's going to happen. It is a beginning, end, beginning, end, beginning, on and on and on and on. So, for sure, an amazing, amazing series. So, with that, before we go into like 5-hour discussion, I'm just gonna string us up here. So for here, us the drunkest people in Crazy TV Talk Studios, we just like to thank you for listening to the show. Thanks for everybody that was contributing. And thanks to this amazing panel that has stuck with us. A big shout out to Stephanie that helped out.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she's going to be back with season 2. And for everybody out there in Crazy TV Talk Land, keep watching, keep commenting, and let's let the producers know that this is great stuff and we need to see more of it, because really that is what they're desperately asking. Is we're producing this stuff and nobody's telling us. We're just getting bullshit critiques and guys in suits telling us we're not reaching our profit margins. We need people to be tweeting about this. We need people to be on Facebook and getting all frothy about it. We need people everywhere to just basically saying we need more shows like this, because let's face it, there are not that many out there out of the tens of thousands of shows, maybe 10 shows that I could count on my fingers that are at this level. And that's for like a 5 or 7 year swath of content. And that's my rant. And with that, I'm going to throw it over to my amazing co-host, JD.
Again, thank you, Ken, and thank you, Tony, for coming on this journey.
Sure.
This is an amazing show, and I absolutely agree with you, Bob. It's been a lot of fun talking about it. It's been a lot of fun watching and rewatching and thinking about it and going to sleep with visions in my head of it. This is like, if we're on a desert island, this is one of those shows that we would take with us, definitely. I want to thank people for listening, for listening to us on iTunes, rate and review us, listening to us in Stitcher, rate us and review us there. We love that. If there's a show that you think is comparable to this, you got to let us know. You got to let the world know. Like Bob said, this kind of television, this kind of art, this kind of filmatic stuff, 6 episodes, kids. It can be done, and it can be done really well. We got to support this kind of stuff. Thank you so much for listening. Check out crazytvtalk.com. Send us a message. Send us a line. Go make a great day, folks.
Awesome.